Commissioner Covington,
Here.
Commissioner Lay. Absent. Commissioner Martinez, she will not be able to attend. Commissioner Padilla,
Here.
Commissioner Cornelius,
Present.
Commissioner Gallegos,
Here.
Commissioner Pacheco.
Here.
Thank you. Quorum.
Seeing a quorum, this meeting is now officially called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Daniel, you want me to do this one or you want to do it? Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, the members of the public may address the Community Development Commission regarding any non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee. No action may be taken on non-agenda items unless authorized by law. Bianca, do we have anybody? I don't see anybody out there. Do we have any written correspondence? No. Okay. Moving on then to the work study session. We have one item under the work study session. Please note that there will be no motion or action taken on this item. This is item number one. The first item on the business calendar today is again the Community Development Commission discussing the powers, the duties, and responsibilities presented by the City Attorney's Office. Staff, will you please make your report?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. This is a work study session that we introduced to our commission about 2 years ago in March 2021, where we sought to provide an annual training on the powers, duties, and responsibilities of the Community Development Commission, with including a training on the Brown Act. And now that it's the beginning of the new fiscal year, we are prepared to bring back this as an annual training for our commission at the beginning of every July. So we're excited to bring back this training post-pandemic, and the training will be provided by our City Attorney's Office. And I'd like to invite Ms. Andrea Garcia Miller up to the dais to present this item.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrea Garcia Miller, as Judson said. I'm with the City Attorney's Office, and I'm happy to come before you to make this presentation, and hopefully you find it helpful with your duties. I'm going to be co-presenting with our one of our law clerks in the City Attorney's Office. His name is Greg, last name? Makanjian. I let him say it because I don't want to make a mistake. So he is a Chapman Law School student, and so he will be helping me with the presentation today. So thank you for allowing us to do this. Just to give you a little background about myself, I started with the City Attorney's Office at the beginning of this year. Prior to that, I was with the Housing Authority for the City of Los Angeles for several years. And prior to that, I was in private practice, doing a lot of unlawful detainer, contract, and real estate work. So let's go ahead and get started. And for those experienced commissioners, some of this might be repeat, but hopefully it's a good refresher. I'm doing that. I don't know if I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. So obviously, because we're the City Attorney's Office, we got to throw in disclaimers. So the information is being provided for commissioner training. It doesn't constitute legal advice, and thank you for allowing us to do this. There we go. So when I do a training, I kind of like to give a roadmap, show everyone where we're going. So these are our training goals today, and hopefully I can fulfill those. Number one, highlight the authority and duties of the Community Development Commission. Number 2, explain the open and public nature of meetings, and that's the Brown Act. Discuss meeting procedures and strategize on how to implement best practices. So let's start with goal 1, highlighting the authority and duties of the Community Development Commission. The CDC was created to serve both in the capacity of a Community Redevelopment Commission pursuant to sections 33201, 33202 of the Health and Safety Code. So that's one of the goals. And that's taken directly from the Santa Ana Municipal Code, section 2-621. Hopefully these citations are helpful, but obviously, we don't have them set out verbatim. And then the second purpose was to serve in the capacity as a housing commission pursuant to sections 34291 and 34292 of the Health and Safety Code. And those are a couple of those health and safety code provisions are a couple of provisions that govern housing authorities. So CDC members, and again, I apologize if this is very basic information, but never hurts to revisit this stuff. 7 CDC commissioners pursuant to Santa Ana Municipal Code 2-621, and then 2 tenant commissioners. That's 2-626. Includes 1 senior tenant, and they shall serve at such times when the CDC is acting in the capacity of the Housing Commission, and can only vote on housing matters. And then 1 student commissioner, non-voting member. Commission members are prohibited from acquiring interest in property included within project areas, and that's per Municipal Code section 2-624. Commission members are required to disclose any direct or indirect financial interest in a property included within the project areas, and that's per Muni Code 2-625. This requires immediate written disclosure to the City Council. Any ideas on what immediate means? That's good. That's a great answer. Thank you. Oh, I have candy. There's a chocolate bar for you. So yeah, no, that's a great answer. As soon as you know. Anyone else want to gander? Yeah. Thanks, Greg. Really, it depends on the facts. It depends on the situation, but as soon as you know is a great answer. As soon as you're aware is a great answer. It doesn't give a definition in our Muni Code, but immediate, that's a great response for immediate. Hold on. There we go. Oh, sorry. Oh, I don't know what I did, Bianca. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So, and then commission members shall not have any direct or indirect interest in any housing project, any contract materials or services for a housing project. If any such interest exists, there should be an immediate written disclosure to the housing authority as well. So just depending on the interest, we either got to let City Council know or the housing authority know. Any questions so far? Anyone have any? Okay. The bylaws, which I'm sure y'all are familiar with, provides rules and regulations of procedures for conducting CDC meetings. Article 1, the commission, Article 2, elections, Article 3, meetings, and Article 4, conduct of public hearings. I don't think our bylaws are too long, so thank goodness they're not a pamphlet. An important point, CDC commissioners are public officials. While you remain an individual with associated rights, you are a public official representing the city of Santa Ana and not necessarily your own personal interests or personal views. When to approach staff? That's always a good question. I think ideally it's best to provide questions to staff prior to a meeting. I don't know, Judson, if you have any comments on that.
As we share during our orientation, right? We want to create that bridge of communication with you, and we know it's fun to ask us right on the spot, but we want to create that partnership and that communication with you, so you can ask us any questions prior to the meeting, and then, well, of course, we'll be ready we're always ready to answer questions during the meeting as well.
Thank you, Judson. Another important point, give others the opportunity to speak and do not lecture. I'm sure none of y'all do that here. All members have equal rights, and refrain from side discussions with fellow commissioners. That can be, kind of muddy waters, and we can kind of get into that a little bit later. Relationship with staff. City staff may work with the commission, but they are accountable to the city manager. It's not within the commission's authority to tell staff to prepare an amendment to the code, to tell staff how to approach an issue, or tell staff how to process an application. I know our staff here at the city of Santa Ana, they're extremely helpful. I have the pleasure of working with a lot of them, and I'm sure that they would want to help you in any way possible, but it's really, again, it's appropriate they answer to the city manager, and any recommendations you have should be shared with the council member who appointed you, or within the commission itself, so that y'all can make a recommendation to city council. The commission acts as an advisory role, as I'm sure you understand that at this point. Advisory means that the commission makes recommendations to the city council, and as y'all are aware, the city council has the final say. The commission may recommend policy, and city council is the one responsible for policy. So thank you for your help. I hit the wrong button again. There we go. Social media. This is another fun one. Everybody, or most people, have social media. So the city of Santa Ana has prime interest and expectation in deciding what is spoken on behalf of the city on social media sites. As you're probably aware, the city has a Facebook page. Do we have anything else, Judson, that you're aware of other than Facebook? Oh, Instagram. Sorry, I knew it was one of those. So Instagram. So, as you're aware, you're personally responsible for the content on your Facebook, Twitter, Insta, whatever the du jour social media is nowadays. Greg could probably comment on that better than I can, but I'm sure nobody does this, but please refrain from posting obscenities, slurs, or personal attacks on anyone, because it is a reflection upon the city, even though it's your personal page. And that kind of brings the point up, as a commissioner, the line between public and private is blurred. It is a gray area. And social media use by a city or its officials raises numerous First Amendment issues, as well as Public Record Act and Brown Act concerns. We'll get into the Brown Act a little bit later, but for those of you who are unaware, Public Record Act basically says that anything that the city does is a matter of public record with certain exceptions. Everything, anyone can request it, and we would fulfill it unless it falls within an exception. So that was the first, we got through our first goal, which was authority and duties. So now we're going on to goal number 2, explain open and public nature of meetings, and that is the Brown Act. So what is the Brown Act? The Ralph M. Brown Act is California law originally adopted in 1953. Anyone want to take a stab at who Ralph M. Brown was? Close. Anyone else? Yeah, California State Assembly. Thank you. Yes. Yes, he was. He was a member of the California State Assembly, representing the 30th State Assembly District from 43 to 61. And he wrote the Brown Act, obviously. So the key to the Brown Act is basically a single sentence. So I guess if you don't remember anything from this presentation, maybe just remember this sentence. All meetings shall be open and public, except when the Brown Act authorizes otherwise. So, the good metaphor is the government is a house made of glass. The curtains can only be drawn to further public interest. So everything's open. Everybody sees what we're doing here. We're not hiding anything. So. So another important part of the Brown Act is what is a meeting? And a meeting is any gathering of a majority of members to hear or discuss any item of city business or potential city business. It requires notice, an agenda, and a time for public comment. So just as, all your meetings are conducted, they are subject to the Brown Act. And so unless a majority gathering falls into one of the Brown Act exceptions to the definition of a meeting, it will be considered a meeting subject to the Brown Act. So does that mean it only covers face-to-face gatherings only? And that's a no. Meetings subject to the Brown Act are not limited to face-to-face gatherings. As we all went through this pandemic, we're all very familiar with Zoom and other types of, video type meetings. We don't have to meet in person anymore. So, it's going to include Zoom meetings. It's going to include possible emails, text messages, social media posts, or other messages. We're in a virtual world now. So it includes communication, any communication medium or device through which a majority of the body discusses, deliberates, or takes action on a business item outside of a noticed meeting. So again, open and public, those are like the two key words. The Brown Act requires local government business to be conducted at an open and public meeting. It applies to government body of a local agency, city council, any commission, yours truly, or a board that's created by a formal action of city council. The Brown Act does not apply to ad hoc meetings with less than a quorum, and we'll get into more detail about that in a little bit. So to kind of compare and contrast, an ad hoc committee meeting think in terms of temporary. It's designed for a specific task, a specific situation. It exists for only a short period of time. It dissolves upon the completion of the task. So it's not subject to the Brown Act. And again, these are meetings for less than a quorum. A standing committee, which also could be a meeting of less than a quorum, is usually about a continuing subject matter. Has a longevity, there's no end date, and that would be subject to the Brown Act. So that's kind of an important distinction.
Yeah, we would I would just add there.
Go ahead.
That every 2 years, David comes to the commission and forms an ad hoc committee specifically for the purpose of reviewing our public service applications on behalf of the entire commission. So it's an item coming up here in the next couple of months. I think October is when we're anticipating coming to the commission and requesting the commission to form an ad hoc committee for that specific purpose.
Thank you, Judson. So, pursuant to Article 3 of the commission's bylaws, 4 members constitute a quorum, unless it's acting in the capacity of a housing commission, which makes it 5. So hopefully that's helpful. So the Brown Act has several exceptions, and I'm going to spend the most time on individual contact because there are lots of nuances there. But the first Brown Act exception is individual contact. Brown Act does not apply to individual contacts between a member of a legislative body and any other person. So one of all of you and somebody else, that's an exception to the Brown Act. Conference call, telephone call, or other conversation with any other person, including staff, constituents, press, that is an exception to the Brown Act. So it doesn't have to be open in public. But the caveat is individual contacts cannot be used in stages that would be prohibited in one step. And that's the concept of a serial meeting. And so I'll get into that. Under the Brown Act, a majority of members of a legislative body shall not, outside of a meeting, use a series of communications of any kind directly or through intermediaries to discuss, deliberate, or take action on any item of business that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body. And that's taken directly from the government code, the part of the Brown Act. And so by a series of meetings, you cannot develop a collective concurrence. And so let me explain that a little bit further. The problem with it is it deprives the public of an opportunity to observe and participate in decision-making. Again, we're supposed to be open and public. And these are kind of terms of art. They may either occur by a daisy chain or a hub and spoke sequence. And when I say daisy chain, I mean, this is when member A contacts member B then contacts member C contacts D, et cetera, until a quorum has actually discussed and taken action on an item. So talking about the same things, it's just, from person to person to person. The hub and spoke type of serial meeting is when Commissioner member A then talks to B, then Commissioner A talks to Commissioner C, and then Commissioner A then talks to Commissioner D, sharing all the same ideas and developing a majority. So here's some just kind of graphics to demonstrate the daisy chain and the hub and spoke. The daisy chain, again, is kind of like the game of telephone. If any of y'all remember that. I'm gonna tell you this, then you tell this person this. Hub and spoke is, when there's one central person that's reaching out to a bunch of others. How can we avoid these types of serial meetings? Direct contacts about city business with fellow members are the clearest means by which a serial meeting can occur. So if you're talking about city business with your fellow commissioners, if one, maybe you're not necessarily disclosing your views, but you're disclosing the views of another commissioner to a third or fourth member, that's we're getting into that gray area where a serial meeting might occur. And basically the best way is to avoid this is to refrain from discussing any agency business with a quorum of your peers, or sharing the views of others. So just be careful about sharing the views of other commissioner members. Again, we're still on the topic of individual contact as an exception to the Brown Act, and we're just kind of hopefully clarifying, you know, we don't want to run into a serial meeting, even though you can have individual contacts with people, you don't want to run into a serial meeting. Members of a body may consult with city staff outside of a meeting for questions or information about a matter. And in fact, hopefully at the end of this, I'll present you guys with my business card if you ever have any questions about anything. But staff and commissioners should be very careful not to disclose, again, the comments or position of any other member. Again, the fear is this can facilitate a collective concurrence outside of a noticed and open meeting, which would be a Brown Act violation. So that was kind of individual contacts. The other exceptions are a little easier. Seminars and conferences open to the public and of general interest. So if you guys have a quorum and you guys are all attending a seminar or some conference, that's an exception to the Brown Act. Community meetings that are open to the public and publicized, that's another exception. Meetings where y'all attend something for another legislative body, that's an exception. Or social or ceremonial occasions, that's another exception. The caveat to kind of all these exceptions to the Brown Act are, if you guys have a majority present, you can't discuss any city business, or else a meeting results by you all discussing city business. Anyone have any questions? Anything that I've talked about so far? No? Okay. Thank you. All right, well, I am going to hand it off to my illustrious colleague, Greg. So thank you.
Sure, yeah. Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me. Again, my name is Greg McConjan. I am just about to start my second year at Chapman Law, and I have spent the summer here at the city attorney's office. Let's see. So we are on to goal number 3. We're just going to go ahead and go over some meeting procedures. Some pretty standard stuff here. Who is the chairperson? Yes,
It would
good.
be me.
That's right. You know what? We're going to throw in a chocolate for that.
Yeah.
So glad you don't have a case of, identity crisis or anything like that. No stolen identities here.
It will go to a good home. Thank you.
Fantastic. So yes, you, as you know, were elected by the commission.
you.
Chairperson, or the chair for short, shall have the responsibility for informing the city council of commission actions or inactions and the reasons therefore and so forth, of course. And right there beneath is the governing code on that matter, section 2328 of the city code. So now we're going to go, there's a number of steps, the format for discussing agenda items, and we're going to go through them step by step, but they're pretty clear. So we should be able to get these through pretty quickly. Step 1, chair announces the agenda item and clearly states the subject. Number 2, chair invites presentation of the staff report on the item, including any recommendations. Pretty clear there. Third, the chair asks the other commissioners if they have any questions on the item for clarification. After that, the chair invites public comment on the item if it's on the agenda and it, being heard as a public hearing. All public comment on the respective item is heard at this time, and then the public hearing is closed by the chair. If that matter's not on the agenda as a public hearing, any member of the public can speak about it in the general public comment section preceding the business agenda. And of course, there's the limit of 3 minutes for each speaker. Once that's over, chair should announce that that public input is now concluded. Step 5, Chair invites a motion on the item and announces the name of the commissioner making the motion. Step 6, chair invites a second to the motion. Are there any seconds, and announces the name of the commissioner who seconds the motion. Step 7, after that motion is made and it's seconded, chair is going to repeat the motion one more time, or is going to ask the maker of the motion or the commission secretary to repeat it. Either of them will be fine. Step 8, chair is going to invite the discussion of the motion. If that discussion happens to be a bit lengthy, then the chair should repeat the motion to make sure everyone understands, just for clarity's sake. Number 9, chair asks for a vote on the item, an aye vote, a no vote, or an abstention. Typically abstentions are usually just used if there's some kind of conflict. But yeah. 10th, the chair announces the result on the vote and what action, if there's any action at all, the commission has taken. As you can see, it's a pretty common procedure used frequently in great pieces of American art like The Simpsons. Now, the topic of amending motions. So a member can amend a motion by saying, I move to amend the motion by Commissioner, whoever made that motion. You do need that motion to be seconded, as with typically most motions. The amended motion is debatable unless the motion to be amended itself is not debatable. So we'll play there. But an amended motion can always be amended, and of course you need a majority vote, and it can always be reconsidered as well. So there's plenty of options there. Now, if you're going to be reconsidering the motion, you're going to say, I move to reconsider the vote on X. And that can be made only by the member on the prevailing side who has a changed position or view. So that's kind of the caveat there. A member needs a second member to reconsider the action, again, as with most things. The reconsideration of a motion is debatable only if the main question has not been debated yet. That's a pretty important part right there, just a step that can't really be skipped. That can't be amended once the reconsideration, again, majority vote required, and it cannot be further reconsidered. So it's a bit more final in that aspect. Public participation. So again, Brown Act is all about open and public, the two big words. But there's two types of public comment periods. General audience public comment. During that time, the public can comment on any non-agenda item. And then, of course, there's the specific agenda items, so it has to be heard prior to that consideration. Just those two types. I'm sure you're familiar with those already. There are some limited exceptions, so we'll go through those real quick. Members may briefly respond to public comments or questions and provide a referral to staff or other resources. You may also ask questions for clarifications purposes. You can report on your own activities. And you can request staff to report back on a matter or issue. That's what they're there for. Almost done. Last one. Goal 4. We're going to strategize on how to implement these best practices. So courtesy and decorum, pretty standard rules. Long story short, be nice. But to go through the points, each of you has the floor at a time. The chair is going to first recognize each speaker, just to maintain order. Discussion focuses on the agenda item, not on personalities. So, no personal slings. And the chair has the right to cut off discussion that is too personal, too loud, or too rude. So chair is the enforcer, he's got the big belt, and, keep you all in line. Because I know things can get real crazy in here during these discussions. Again, on maintaining civility, do not attack or question the motives of other members. You need to limit misunderstandings between each other and focus on the facts and being fair. Make sure you listen with an open mind and focus discussion on each agenda item. Things get very out of hand very quickly when you start merging agenda items together. And for everyone's sake, your sanity and the public's, it's best if that's avoided. Quick little pointers and tips. Do not engage in a two-way dialogue with the audience. That also is something that 99.9% of the time gets out of hand. Prepare in advance of the meeting by reviewing the agenda and staff reports. If you happen to have any specific questions or concerns, contact staff in advance of the meeting so they can prepare to address them at the meeting or just, clarify things. Lastly, enjoy your time as commissioner. You are providing a valuable service to the city, to the community. This is on a volunteer basis, so thank you again for doing this. And thank you again for your service. That concludes our little training. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. But let's open it up for questions. Commissioner Cornelius, any questions?
One quick one. Can we get a copy of the presentation, like email or hard? Yeah.
Has a question, anyone ever has a question offline?
Yeah, we will send you a copy of that presentation following the meeting.
That's all I have.
Okay. Commissioner Gallegos,
No questions.
Commissioner Padilla,
No questions. Thank you for the presentation.
and then our newest commissioner, Commissioner Rios Pacheco. Any
No
questions?
questions, thank you.
Thank you.
That we're good. Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
do appreciate the candy bar.
You're welcome.
And I would add too, thank you so much to Andrea and to Greg and you do have Andrea's card. In the past, our legal counsel was always present with us at our commission meetings, but now our practice has changed. But of course, you could at any time get a hold of Andrea. She is our legal counsel for our housing division and for this commission.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Now, moving on to the consent calendar. This is the time for the commission to consider matters under the consent calendar, items number 2 through 4. Do I have a motion to consider items 2 through 4?
Let's move it.
Commissioner Padilla wants to move it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Gallegos, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Matter approved by unanimous consent. Next up, business calendar. We will now consider matters under the business calendar. The first item on the business calendar is item number 5, the election of the chair and the vice chair for the Community Development Commission for the 2023-2024 term. When this first came on the agenda, I was approached with a question saying, didn't we just do this a few months ago? And for the benefit of our new commissioners, yes, we did. But it was for the completion of the term of 22-23. Okay, now we're in a new term. So that's why we're having the new election here as of today. With that, let me go back to where I was. Oh, gotta go back to the right script. Okay. We will proceed with the nominations for chairperson. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate, I think the current chairperson's done an excellent job. We just recently had these elections. I'd like to nominate Mr. Covington.
I'll second that nomination.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any other nominations? Okay. The motion is that Commissioner Covington, yours truly, be named the next chairperson effective August 1st, 2023. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please take roll call.
Commissioner Covington,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Yes.
Commissioner Cornelius,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos,
Yes.
Commissioner Rios Pacheco. Yes.
Okay. We will now proceed with the nomination for vice chair. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Ana Laura Padilla.
Second that.
Okay.
Thank you, Claudia.
Okay, the motion is Commissioner Padilla be named the next vice chairman effective August 1st, 2023. Is there a second?
Yeah, I
Okay.
second.
I just gotta follow the script there. Okay, Madam Secretary, please take roll.
Commissioner Covington,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Cornelius,
Aye.
Commissioner Gallegos,
Aye.
Commissioner Rios Pacheco. Aye.
Thank you. Now we're gonna move on to staff comments. Judson.
No, we have to
Action.
appoint
Number
the.
6.
Oh, that's no, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. I almost missed you, Commissioner Cornelius. Let me go back to item number 6. Okay, hang on for a second.
For item number 6, we would like to see if anybody will volunteer for the Historic Resources Commission. They meet every other month. And currently we have Commissioner Cornelius.
I would
Do we
like to
have a
nominate
volunteer?
Commissioner Cornelius to continue in that role.
And I will second that as well.
And I accept.
Okay. I skipped over that. My eyes were looking at a different item number and thinking something differently. There was apparently a staff report, but I assume you just gave that? Okay, so we're good there. So we have a motion to approve item number 6 to appoint Commissioner Cornelius as the representative to the Historic Resource Commission for the 2023-2024 term. Do I have a second? I think that was me, so I'll second that.
Mhm.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Matter approved by unanimous consent. And congratulations there, Commissioner Cornelius.
Thank you.
Already. Now we will move on to staff comments.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to express our appreciation again for Andrea for today's training and presentation. We do hope it was useful for the commission, and we look forward to again providing the training next July prior to the annual vote of our election of officers again as an annual process. The other item to report is that following at the last commission meeting, you'll recall that the commission heard a presentation by the Illumination Foundation for approval of a pre-commitment of funding for the development of the intergenerational housing project on Bewley Street. And following that presentation and the recommendation by the commission, City Council heard the item on July 18th and approved the item. So we are pleased to report that the city has issued a pre-commitment of funding for the development of the intergenerational housing project on Bewley Street by the Illumination Foundation. With that, we don't have anything else to report.
Okay, thank you, Judson. Now I'm going to open it up to commission member comments. Commission members, please note that no member may speak more than once until all have had the opportunity to speak. Also, the commission may vote to limit your comments to 3 minutes if we feel the need. With that, Commissioner Cornelius.
Just congratulations for Mr. Covington and Ms. Padilla for
Thank you.
the continuation of your position as chair and vice chair. And thank you for my nomination for the Historic Resource Commission.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Gallegos.
Yes, I'd like to give a warm welcome to our newest commissioner. Not the new kid on the block anymore, but welcome Idalia Rios Pacheco. We look forward to working with you, and congratulations to our new officers. So
Thank you.
looking forward to what we're going to accomplish in the next year.
Thank you. Commissioner Padilla.
Yeah, just welcome, Idalia, welcome aboard. I'm very excited to work with you on this commission. I appreciate the nomination for vice chair. Thank you, fellow commissioners, for giving me that opportunity. And I also, for disclosure purposes, want to let you guys know that I'm going to be traveling to Saguayo, our sister city with the city of Santa Ana. We're going to start to travel tomorrow to over there. I'm proudly Michoacana. I'm from Michoacan. So I'm very excited of this sisterhood with a town that I know very well. I was invited by the mayor of Saguayo a year and a half ago before I even started my commission as a business entrepreneur. So I'm very delighted that I'm going to be able to go with Mayor Valerie Mescla in this trip and meeting the council members over there, some commissions. I was invited to do a talk in the Commission of Economic Development over there. So it's very exciting to see what are they doing in other countries in our commission. And I'm very excited to share that with you as soon as my return. And I'm very excited for the opportunity now going as a commissioner as well, not only I represent a board that it's a national Hispanic Businesswomen Association. So that's the reason why I was invited at first. But I feel like now being a commissioner and being able to also represent this commission in Mexico and in my hometown, it's very special for me. So I look forward to share all those moments with you in our next commission meeting.
Very good. We look forward to your comments. When
Thank
we
you.
return there. Commissioner Rios Pacheco, your comments, please.
Well, thank you very much. I feel honored to be sitting here and I look forward to learn many things from you and my hope is that next year we're going to be celebrating changes for the city of Santana and the residents, especially low income residents. And I'm just thrilled to be among you and congratulations on all of your new on your new positions. Yes. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And thank you to my fellow commissioners there. I appreciate the nomination and the vote here as chair. I enjoy the position. As we saw today, you may have to help me keep on track because my mind might be thinking one thing versus reading the script. That happens often, but I appreciate the correction there from Commissioner Padilla and Commissioner Rios Pacheco. Welcome. Welcome to the commission. I did have the opportunity to speak with her. I'm going to just call you by your first name for right now, Idalia, before the meeting. She has a big heart for the city. She believes in being involved with the community. She's been very involved with the community and we welcome you warmly. It's good to have you. Okay. And then there was something that I should have talked about last time. We mentioned it briefly there, Judson, the grand opening at Legacy Square. And it gave me the opportunity. I don't know if anybody else was there that day. What was it, about a month and a half ago, early June?
It was, yes, sir.
Yeah, what is that? Right on the corner of French and Santa Ana? No, Spurgeon and Santa Ana Boulevard. Anyway, there used to be an old church there and they built 90 some odd units. Okay. These were 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom units for affordable housing and the homeless, I believe, to a certain number. I was blown away by the quality, the construction. I mean, those apartments look nicer than a lot of the places I lived in when I was a student. So they were done very nicely. But what touched me, and I'm going to go over my 3 minutes, but briefly, was they had a speaker there that was one of the residents, one of the new residents, and he had a family of 3. And he had been trying and struggling and trying and struggling to find a decent place to call home. And his wife was there and she was pregnant out to here. And his story and the emotion of the struggles he's had with his life from where he came from the negative influence in his life to getting himself together, getting out of prison, working hard, being a contributing member of our community. He was literally in tears in gratitude by having that opportunity. So if you guys get the opportunity to visit the next grand opening, let us know, Judson, to see the work that we are approving, the fruits of our labor, so to speak, and to meet some of the residents, the families that are going to be enjoying this affordable housing projects. I mean, it was an awesome experience. I enjoyed that very, very much, to say the least. And then a question came up here as well. Our last student commissioner was a great young lady. Okay. How do we fill her shoes? How do we get another one just like her?
Yeah, great question. We did reach out to the staff at Santa Ana USD who had recommended her to our commission. And have we heard back, Bianca, yet? Yeah. So we're.
I have a quick question, Jetson, sorry. So young people cannot apply by their own, or you have to use that recommendation from the SAUD?
Well, let's see. The student commissioner is defined as a specific definition in the bylaws. I'm not sure if we have a copy of the bylaws with us. Oh, we do. Oh, you didn't? Oh, I thought you were pulling it up. So it's specifically defined. I'd have to refer to the definition on how it's defined, but yeah.
So young people can apply, because I saw a post on Instagram that there were openings for youth commissioners, but that's something different from what are we requesting here at this commission.
That's correct. They did use
They have their own
commissioner
commission.
for
Got
the other commission. Yeah. It was a great feature for her. Yeah.
I'm asking because I have an intern that is going to high school. And sometimes he sees me like reviewing the agendas and he has asked interest into joining a commission or being a student commissioner. But I didn't know what the process was or where he had to apply, or how is it that we get a student commissioner in here?
I would invite you to send over his information and any other commissioners who know students who might be interested in the position. Please send them over to us.
Great.
as we're
He's
working
doing
with-
an internship at my office for summer, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
great. Thank you.
And I have a question. So if the bylaws, it turns out it's similar rules to the youth commission where they can just apply. Yeah, I think, it'd be a good idea to get out there, but if not, if it's, have to recruit. Obviously, yes, Santa Ana Unified is one you want to reach out to, but is there any outreach as well to Garden Grove, Orange, and Tustin Unified that have some portions of the city of Santa Ana where there is youth that reside?
Have not in the past. We've only exclusively reached out to Santa Ana Unified, but if you have liaisons there that you might be able to connect us with, we'd be glad to expand our outreach if we're has to be Santa Ana students, right?
Santa Ana Unified student or a city of Santa Ana student?
Is he saying Orange Unified?
So
schools in Santa Ana?
there's portions of Orange Unified, portions of Tustin Unified, and okay. No, I figured a Santa Ana city resident.
Yeah, and that's not what you're saying. You're saying the school's located in the city of Santa Ana, but might be in a different district. Yeah.
For example, I lived in, and he can attest to it. He lives in, and I used to live in.
Yep.
But-
Yep.
Yeah, I think we cover what, 4 or 5 districts with our borders? 4, okay. All right, but that brings up another question here, is that we have the position of tenant member and senior tenant member. We've not had a senior tenant member for some time, Judson. And tenant member Vince Fraser, I don't even know who he is. I don't think I've ever seen that person.
Yeah, we are working on that. Filling those tenant commissioner seats is a difficult task because we have to do extensive outreach to our Section 8 participants. But we are working on that. We're also discussing internally about the removal of Commissioner Frazier from the commission since he has exceeded his absences from the commission under our bylaw.
Okay, at least I'm glad to have a full body of commissioners. One's missing and one's on vacation, but hopefully we will see them next time. And the last thing I wanted to say is I go through the old newspapers sometimes, and as I miss some of the articles I need to catch up on. And I did read, I've heard this before, but of all the cities in Orange County, Santa Ana is leading the way by a superior margin in the position of providing affordable housing. So that's something that I know is near and dear to a lot of the commissioners' hearts. We're doing a great job. Let's just keep doing our job here as commissioners to help the city. And with that, our next meeting is, actually, this meeting is adjourned. The next meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. Have a good evening.